All right, welcome back to the show. It is February 24th on this nice warm day here in Iowa. I'm Nathan Creeps, joined by my co-host, Mr. Bryce Portscheller. We're going to need you guys to bear with us today as your boy has lost his voice due to one of the most electric atmospheres I've ever been a part of yesterday at the Drake UNI game.
Nate, we watched maybe the Missouri Valley game of the year yesterday.
There's no doubt.
One versus two, game goes to overtime. Number one prevails, and we'll get into it, but that was an awesome atmosphere at the McLeod Center in Cedar Falls yesterday.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that game, but a lot of great things happened up leading to the game for us. I say we just jump right into our weekend. Before you got to town Saturday, I kicked off a team supper with the Admires at Urban Pine, Cedar Falls, with Michael, his wife Anna, and their beautiful daughter Everly. Went to Urban Pine, talked a lot of Drake hoops, about the origin of Iowa Chill, and just kind of rekindling our relationship and growing it, moving forward. A great time, great people. So shout out to Michael for having me be part of the team supper that day. And then the boys get to town, or at least you get to town Saturday, and we kick off the great pregame, is what we were calling it in the group chat, with you, me, my dad, and Scotty. And we start the day off at Toads.
Toads on Main Street, Cedar Falls, one of the best spots in all the nation to have a cold beer. And I was thinking about this while I was sitting there. We're watching a little bit of the Iowa versus UCLA game, women, and my first beer shows up in an icy cold glass, and that's the Toads difference. And I'm wondering why more people don't do this. And I know that it's not overly uncommon to have this, but more people need to do the icy glass for that first beer of the day. So good. Hit like crack for a crackhead. So good.
Yeah. My dad said that right away too, when he's like, God, I get a cold glass every single time. It makes a difference.
I was going to ask him, what was, I've been to Toads. I went to UNI and then spent a few years after. So I've been to Toads a lot of times. I knew what to expect. What did Nick think of the Toads experience?
Yeah, that's not his first time. He was there last year for the Drake UNI game as well. I know we brought him there a couple other times because we go there so much. It's my favorite place to hang out, grab some food, and especially a drink in Cedar Falls. But he loved it. He just wants to sit right at a bar, watch his college hoops, drink a beer, and throw down a bet or two. I mean, he's a common guy nowadays and living his life best at the age of 65.
Sounds like he's a 20-year-old.
Yeah, no kidding. He definitely lived it, because after Toads, we make our way towards campus before we trek our way up to the McLeod Center, the halfway point, right? And we get to the hill. Before we get into Social House, we parked. We're meeting you guys there at Social House. We're walking in the parking lot, and a group of college kids drove by with their window down. Fuck the Bulldogs! Right at my dad.
Yeah. Yep.
My dad, the most innocent dude in the world, he's like, hey. And that's what I want. That's what I wanted out of this entire day. I was teetering. I'm like, how is this atmosphere going to be? Because you know how the Iowa State rivalry is, right? What is the little brother rivalry like when it comes to Drake, UNI? And that's why we love college sports. You want to embrace the rivalry. Do a little talk shit, or a little shit talking, but be respectful, right, to the people. And that's exactly how it went yesterday. So you go first. Tell me about your experience walking into Social House, and I'll follow up.
Yeah, we park first. We walk in. Jorge is still managing that Social House like a champ. Like, they got free pizza for the students and great turnout. Obviously we graduated from there, and we know how the sporting events can be. It's either like you're competing for something in basketball, or you're not really like that interested. The football is never going to be on the biggest stage. So, those tailgates are not that much fun. Iowa State and Iowa Clears, obviously we know this. Atmosphere was great. I didn't know you guys got chirped outside the building, but Scott and I walk into Social House first. In typical reliving the college days, we order a couple of Vegas bombs, and I don't think they saw that I was wearing Drake stuff, because I'd got absolutely no reception whatsoever. Like, people were very chill. They just assumed we were typical UNI fans. Well, 5 minutes later, you and your dad walk in, and resounding boos from the entire bar, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, UNI's got some freaking balls to them. This is great. So we got it on video. If you if you followed the Iowa Chill socials, you maybe saw this, but we'll post it again, hopefully with this video. Incredible reception that you got, and you're just standing there in the middle of the bar. If you know Social House, you have to walk down the stairs to get to that back room, and you're just surrounded by booze.
Not to hype myself up, but I kind of looked like Jesus Christ walking down those steps,
A
right?
little
In the
bit.
in the light blue Drake hoodie that I famously wear, and it was just the loudest echo I've ever heard, and I wasn't expecting that whatsoever.
No.
I didn't expect that many people to be there. Shout out to UNI college students for hyping up this game and supporting your school. That was awesome. Just a sea of
Yeah.
purple.
So
I'm walking down and boo, and it kept going for like a good 20-30 seconds, and I was just like,
So, I
let me
mean,
hear
I,
it.
I have never seen this. Is that like the most you've seen? Like, that's the most energy I've seen around any UNI sporting event
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, no doubt.
Like that little boo session right
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah, no doubt. I never went to any bars for pregame before going to a UNI basketball game. Right? Maybe I did after a game, but we would just
Yeah.
normally drink in the dorm room or at our apartments and then head on over to the McLeod. But so I didn't know that was a part of the life there. So keep that shit up. That's why we love
Yeah.
sports, man. And the fan base and the energy just kicked off the tone for one of the best atmospheres I've ever been a part of in college basketball.
Yeah. And I know we're going to get more into the game, but it was tough being a UNI grad and then walking in with your Drake stuff. That was kind of a tough scene. And I found myself throughout the game secretly rooting for UNI. Obviously, we had a little bit of cash involved on the Drake Bulldogs, the underdogs going into the opponent's arena, but so much fun. Like it was kind of that quick day trip. It's 2 hours there, 2 hours back for me, but totally worth it. Especially that hype before everything got kicked off. So
yeah, and a quick shout out to my dad for just tagging
Yeah.
along and
Yeah.
I didn't even really tell him what we were all going to do. Here I am
Yeah.
bringing him to college bars right before the game, and chicks
He-
were
dude,
loving him. They were digging him up.
Yeah, he was getting more attention than I ever got in college. Taking pictures with all the ladies there wearing their UNI stuff, and he was asking, he's like, "Why do you want a picture with me?" And they're like, "Because it's funny, because it's awesome. Like your dad wearing Drake stuff and enemy territory, and you're taking Vegas bombs with the boys. We love that.
Yeah, and
That was great.
They were coming right up to him, asking him to keep taking pictures with him. He was just trying to watch the Iowa UCLA game, receive no hate or love, just kind of trying to be in his own world on his phone. But there he was. I don't think my dad's ever taken a shot in his life, and we conned him into a quick Vegas bomb with the boys.
He got a quick and dirty little intro to what our college experience was like at UNI.
Man, but yeah, well, I mean, we'll be touching base here when we arrive to the McLeod, but overall, a great, successful pregame and the day prior with the Admires, and what an awesome weekend it was. And
Yeah,
it
it's great.
just make matters worse, it was 50 degrees yesterday, right? That first 50-degree temp hitting as it is today as well just makes everybody in a great mood. And like I said, I didn't receive any hate. I mean, just a little shit talk, but good respect.
Yes, yep. And maybe the most under talked about moment of the day was that you were in shorts yesterday, which I didn't notice until we were walking literally into McLeod. But you were bold enough to wear shorts in February, which typical Iowa fashion, I guess that's kind of what you do.
I almost wore them the night prior when it was only a high of 35 because I was prematurely too excited about the weather not being negative 20 degrees out. I held off, but I knew immediately if I didn't do it Friday, they were coming out Saturday.
I think they're coming out for me this week. We got a lot of days in the 50s, so you might see some shorts out of me. But it was a little too early. I wasn't. I think you might have been maybe the only person in the whole arena that was wearing shorts, but I love that you were just ready for nice weather.
Yeah, I embrace it. There's no doubt about it. We're going to kick off this conversation with a quick shout out to my coworker. Big fan of the Iowa Chill, has been following him since day one. Tommy Morris, a.k.a. Two Toes, our truck driver, who I've learned how to drive a truck and CDL from our boy. So shout to Tommy. Great dude. He's going to be listening to this cast today. He was in Waterloo delivering today. He's such a good dude that at his delivery in Waterloo, the person tried offering him a tip. And he did not.
Oh, really?
He's like, nope, I'm just doing my job, sir. You keep that money. And that guy deserves every tip, everywhere it goes. So, Tommy, appreciate you, brother. Love working with you. Keep on doing your thing.
Yeah, Tommy deserves. It sounds like a lot of praise. Sounds like a hell of a guy. Does he listen to the show though?
Here and there, but
Okay.
he's one of those redneck guys that love seeing trucks doing
Yeah.
jumps off of hills and stuff like that. So
Okay.
that's where when you think of Iowa Chill's fan base, you got like the sports people,
Yes.
the rednecks. So that's why we love this diverse audience that we have. He's part of the
Yep.
loyal redneck fan base.
Very good. Very good. Nate, speaking of the Iowa Chill channels, we might have started one of the bigger trends unfolding in the state of Iowa. About a week ago, a couple boys from Iowa City set a world record at the Iowa City Pizza Ranch with 50 plates cleared. And this is an unofficial world record. We're still working on confirmation, but to the best of my knowledge, this is the most plates ever cleared by a group. And over the weekend, we've had 10 or 15 more groups of probably high school to college age kids try and beat this record. And I'm worried for the kids out there. I'm excited to see who wins, but I'm also worried because I remember being that age. I remember going to Pizza Ranch, and I remember trying to compete with my buddies to see how many we can get done. First, congrats to everybody involved in that 50, but be careful out there. Did you ever have this kind of Pizza Ranch experience?
Back in high school, we were so addicted. It was during the Michelle Obama
Mm-hmm.
era, so we did everything we could
Mm-hmm.
to get out of lunch. And as seniors, we had open campus. So normally, 3 out of 5 days a week, we would go to Pizza Ranch, and we would just we were obsessed with it. Even on game days for basketball, we would go to Pizza Ranch. I was just at Pizza Ranch last week in Decorah, Iowa, at one of my
Or were you?
stops, and I probably cleared about like 3 plates. But that leads me up to my question was two questions was how many dudes participated in this 50 plate clearing, and two, what all came on the plate. When I
Yeah.
get a
Yes.
plate, I maybe get two, 3 slices of cheese sticks,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a slice of pizza,
Yep.
a chicken breast, and a chicken
Mm-hmm.
leg, and that's considered
Mm-hmm.
one plate for me. What is considered a
Yes.
plate for them?
So here's where things have to get a little bit more official. I think we're going to start doing a running tally that has to include a team name, how many people were involved, and meet the minimum requirement on a plate. And we haven't decided what that's going to be yet. My thought is it has to be at least 2 items. And if that's 2 pieces of pizza, a cactus bread, piece of chicken, I think you need at least 2 items on this plate to consider it fully cleared. And obviously everything needs to be completely gone when you stack that plate. So there is a little bit more official digging we need to do. We're going to give these guys the record for the time being, but we hope to have a little bit more clear parameters on what qualifies you for this challenge.
Yeah, no, without knowing all the stats, that's absolutely remarkable. I can only imagine the Pizza Ranch hangover.
Yep.
These guys are gonna go down as the Pizza Ranch buffet busters.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Yep.
What's your favorite thing to get from Pizza Ranch?
My favorite thing is that they ask you what you want when you walk in. When you pay for that buffet, and they're like, "Is there any pizza we can make for you?" Because that sets the tone. It's like I know I'm going to get exactly what I want here. As a kid, I was always a pizza guy. I moved. I think part of the evolution of growing up is going to Pizza Ranch and becoming more of a chicken guy. But yeah, growing up, it was always a pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, I definitely go for the chicken, but
Yep.
in the last couple of years, what's the pizza? The cactus pizza?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cactus
Oh
bread.
my God, has that grown
Oh, yeah.
on me? I
Mhm.
top off my meal with that every time, but definitely go for the
Mhm.
chicken, the cheese sticks, and the cactus pizza. And if I'm feeling crazy at the end, I'll get that nice bowl of ice cream.
Yep. Yep. It's just a classic. Like it was something that I related to. I saw it come through. The girls sent it over to me, and they're like, "Is this something that we post about?" I'm like, "It is," because it might not have been a thing that all the girls did, but it was definitely a thing that I remember a lot of the guys doing. And again, congrats to those guys. I hope we can get this challenge going. Be safe out there. This is not a challenge for the weak.
No, you got to be mentally prepared, and you got to be a big lineman to take down 50 plates.
Yep.
We don't normally do this, but I just want to jump in this conversation because I know we haven't talked about it, but I just want to get your input about the great
Okay.
meteorite that's going to strike Earth potentially in 2032. The newly discovered asteroid designated as 2024 YR4 has a 1 in 83 chance of striking Earth in December 2032. The asteroid Bryce is estimated to be about 196 feet, which is 60 meters wide, and is currently
Okay.
27 million miles away.
Sounds far away, but 2032 is not too far away. The way that these days and weeks are flying by. Can I be honest? I have not thought about it even a little bit. And what my mind immediately goes to is the amount of doomsday things that we've lived through already. We were young at the time, but 2000, the internet age is kicking off, and everyone thought the world was going to end. 2012, the Mayan calendar
Yep.
ends, and I believe Day After Tomorrow comes out, and there's all this talk of global warming. So between Mayans and global warming and the boom of the internet, we've lived through at least three major predictions of Armageddon and the world ending. So my immediate thought is I'm not too worried about it. That being said, that is a massive asteroid, and it's coming up fast. 27 million miles, and space miles is nothing.
Right.
What
And
is,
I'm a
what's your reaction here?
yeah, I'm a space junkie, so I'm trying to get a better idea of how big this asteroid is. So the most
Yeah.
recent asteroid that comes to my mind that had an impact on Earth was the Russian impact back in
Yes.
2013. And trying to compare this asteroid to 2032 YR4, this asteroid was only 18 meters wide. So the one in 2032 is about 3 times the size of this asteroid. And this asteroid back in Russia struck Earth at around 43,000 miles an hour. Uh,
Okay.
the explosion shattered more than 3,600 windows and buildings. The damage to the city was estimated about $11 million. And I can't remember how many people got injured. I don't want to give it a number. Maybe 1,000. Some people got injured, something like
Okay.
that. So I'm like, it doesn't take a little bit. It only takes a little bit of size when you're traveling at 43,000 miles an hour to make a
Right.
little
Right.
impact. So you triple the size of that, and heck, this asteroid could be even faster.
Yes, and I just looked it up. We know what happened to the dinosaurs, and I believe that one is estimated to be 10 to 15 kilometers wide. So
Yep.
I'm not sure how that conversion looks in the measurement you just gave me, but as you said, it doesn't take a whole lot to all of a sudden wipe out a little bit of life on Earth.
Did you know that the from that asteroid impact that took over the dinosaurs? God, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right on this. Uh, a guy from Iowa used that impact site to figure out the age of the Earth.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that like kind of where like carbon dating and stuff kind of started? Like
Something like that.
that
But
sounds right.
yeah, but shout
That's
to
sweet. So Iowa ties there.
yeah, always somewhere,
That's sweet.
somewhere. Yeah. Uh, God, dude, I'm just so happy that today's weather is like today. Uh, we talked about this, right? How much better is today is because we had negative 20, 30 wind chill
Mm-hmm.
temps last week,
Mm-hmm.
right? We talk about how we want to go through this depression state, be pissed off, hurt to go outside. And now in the morning, I don't even have to go and start my car early in the morning for 10 minutes. I can just get it and go and just drive
Yep.
with the windows down. This is it,
Mm-hmm.
man. This is the life
This
we
is
live
it.
for in Iowa. This is why we live here, people. This is why
Yep.
we take all the shit for all the crazy weather we have 85% of the year for this
Yeah.
day, this week.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we're going to look back a
Nate,
little
I,
bit.
I literally, I delayed grocery shopping last week because it was so cold. And you were 100% correct. This is the moment you're like, okay, I want bad winter because then when that 50-degree day hits, it hits like none other.
Yeah, dude, last week was so cold when I was on my driving up in northeastern Iowa near kind of like the Mennonite area.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, I know Mennonite are different from the Amish. Mennonite believe in a little bit more
Yes.
technology. You'll occasionally see them driving vehicles, but most of the time they take their buggies. It was so damn cold last week when I was driving up in the area. No buggies, all vehicles, and I saw them all driving in it. Like, damn, that's how cold it is. They're
Yes.
not resort
Yep.
to the buggies no more. Uh, but shout out,
You have some stats on
yeah.
maybe like how this week compares to record temperatures in Iowa of all time.
Yeah, we're looking back at February 24th here, Bryce, in the history of Waterloo, Iowa. The highest temperature ever recorded is 62 degrees Fahrenheit back in 1930. Today's got a high of 57 here in Waterloo. I'm not sure what it's going to be like in Des Moines. Des Moines is always warmer. I swear it's probably going to be damn near 60 today there if I had to assume. Lowest temperature here is negative 16 degrees set back in 1993.
Okay.
And you know, when you get the springtime, you usually get a little bit of precipitation here. The precipitation record is 0.57 inches back in 2007. And the most snow we've ever received is only 4.1 inches set in 1940.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, and then the average high is about 34 and a half degrees, and the average low is about 16 and a half degrees. So, we're going to be busting the average high by about 16 degrees here, or actually 20 degrees almost.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
this is it.
Yeah, these last few years, I feel like I've just gotten used to February being kind of nice, and if you're familiar with the 12 seasons of the Midwest, we've already had the Fool Spring, and some people, I think you would maybe even coin the term Spring of Deception. I'm not sure if that's what we're undergoing, but you can expect a little bit more harsh weather in March. But hey, I'm enjoying this little stretch.
I think we have made it to spring. Now, would it be crazy to see some snow 2 or 3 more times? Absolutely not. But the difference this time of the year is the temperature, right? When you get that snow, it's likely going to be gone the next day or two, right? It's history. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get that temperature rise of 50 plus degrees, and as I see the next couple of weeks is back down to 30, but I think we've made it, man. I don't care what that freaking
Okay.
groundhog sees anymore. We've made it past winter. We're here. And
The Iowa Chill Show is official groundhog deniers.
yeah, absolutely. I hate them, but I also love them at the same time. Uh, we've had a home run here the last couple of weeks doing this segment on this date in Iowa. I think we kind of hit a wall here finally, which is no surprise
Okay.
here. But February 24th, back on this date in Iowa, Bryce, in 1887, Frank Gotch was born in Humble, Iowa. Gotch went to become one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, winning the World Heavyweight Championship title in 1908 and defending for 6 years straight. So shout out to the Humble natives back on my neck of the area. One other thing kind of taking place is worth pointing out is back on February 24th, 1996, the Iowa Hawkeyes basketball team defeated the Indiana Hoosiers in a historic upset at home in Iowa City. The win came against the top ranked team in the country and helped propel the Hawkeyes to a successful season that included a trip to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. That's when you know shit's historic, is the Iowa Hawkeye basketball team made it to the Sweet 16. God
Was
damn.
that the last time that the Hawkeyes made it to the Sweet 16?
God, it might be. I could very well be wrong on
Yeah.
it, but it might be.
Because
I would say, yeah.
I feel like I've seen Cyclone shit talk pages that mention the fact that we haven't made it to the Sweet
No.
16 in this
That's
millennia,
ridiculous. How do you not just accidentally get to the Sweet 16?
in this century.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that we were talking quite a bit yesterday, seeing how excited you and I was, and how, just the energy a good sports team can bring to a college campus. The fact that they've been more recently than the Hawkeyes is crazy to me. Now it's been 8 years, I believe, 8 or 9 years since the Panthers made it to the Sweet 16. There's a very good chance that it's been almost 30 for the Hawkeyes.
Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing because a lot of talent's gone through Iowa City. Quick Iowa news here before we jump into an electric weekend for sports in Iowa. A Northern Iowa couple, Bernie and Lori Formanek, haven't missed a single Garner Hayfield Ventura basketball game since the mid 70s. Bryce, that is more than 2,000 straight games attended, home and away.
That is crazy.
And
That is so cool.
that is unbelievable. The best part about this is that they've watched me play basketball then, because we would always play Garner Hayfield once every year, and you would have been at the same game with them one time when you came up.
Yes. Yep.
Watch the Gardner
We got
game.
to watch Audie, and
and
that's crazy.
a lot of times when we played Gardner Hayfield was some of the worst weathered games I've ever been to. I remember coming back, maybe my brother's senior year or was his junior year at GHV, just absolute whiteout conditions. They should not have had this game, and
Mm-hmm.
God knows how many adventures. I mean, they're doing this on the road, at home, and they haven't missed a game. That is an unbelievable stat.
It's awesome. Shame on me for not remembering, but I remember my days as an athlete at Pella High. There was a couple people like that, and I wish I could give them a shout out, but I don't remember their names. To me, that's like one of the coolest things about high school sports is that you generate a little bit of pride in your school and your team, and you have those people that show up but that don't have kids on the team, or maybe they did a long time ago, but they just stayed loyal to the school and the town, and those are the kind of people that make high school sports fun. So shout out to those guys. That's really really cool. It makes the every single game a little bit more important, and classic saying, you're playing for the name on the front, not the back. Playing for those guys that have been watching for 2,000 straight games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a couple of those guys back in my school as well. So love the dedication. Keep it up. I hope you guys continue to not revive the streak, but build on the streak. And I'd like to see what the final number ends up being. Let's just jump right into the game, man. What was your feeling walking into McLeod?
It was the best environment in McLeod since maybe Wichita State versus UNI back in 2015 when both teams were ranked in the top 25. And that's saying something because I've been to a couple good games. We watched Loyola Chicago and UNI play 2 or 3 years ago, battling for the conference. And that game ended up being like 95-92. I've mentioned it before. But this game yesterday probably eclipsed every experience I've had since college there. It was buzzing. And I want to say that we had 6,600 people in attendance, and you could feel it. The McLeod was rocking.
Most attended game at the McLeod Center basketball since #1 North Carolina came to town.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the energy, obviously, from Social House. And the second we parked outside the McLeod, just seeing how many people, we got there pretty early. We got there about 40 minutes early, and it was just a flood of people walking up the Great Walk up to the McLeod in that beautiful weather, man. Vibes were high, immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
We walk in, we see Mr. Bobby Ivy, who we talked about with Coach McCollum's brother-in-law. And funny story about Bobby Ivy. Let me tell you about this. Back in high school, I never even met the guy. I knew of him because I was following St. Mary Storm Lake. He would have been 2 grades above me. And I somehow got his phone number, Bryce. And I would call him every single Wednesday. And these guys never met me. Him and I would chat for 20 to 30 minutes every Wednesday without this guy ever meeting me. And he was so chill about it. But at the same time, he could be like, who's this weird mother effer from Bishop Gary?
Yeah.
So it was
What were you talking about?
This
Just
life,
sports?
man. Sports life.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, hi,
Nice.
Bobby, how you doing, man? I was a weird kid, and there's no doubt about it. But he played it really cool. And I brought that up to him yesterday. And I'm like, you remember that? He's like, I do, man. So he said he listened to the podcast when his brother-in-law, Coach McCollum, hopped on. So it was funny how all those dots connected. Great to have Bobby back in Iowa. And
you see Bobby right away walking in.
Yep, see Bobby, see a few other friends, see radio guy, soon to be I can't remember his exact role for Panther Sports Network, but Joel Waters. Remember him? Yep. Saw him down there. Talked to Admire, trying to get some good vibes for the game. And we get to our seats, and I purposely selected our seats to be right in the middle of the Drake section. A good, loud, supportive group of blue there, and just led into the greatest atmosphere I've been in the McLeod. Drake beats UNI 64-58 in overtime. Mitch Muscari had to knock down 2 clutch free throws to get that game into overtime, right? He gets fouled on the last 3-point shot of the game with 0.1 seconds to go. Misses the first one. That has the balls of steel to knock down the next 2. What were you feeling during these free throws?
As I mentioned, it was tough cheering for Drake, but I never wavered. As an alumni from UNI, I was secretly hoping that they would have a great game, but I did have my money on the Bulldogs, and it's getting close to the end of the game. UNI has a go-ahead basket, down by 2 points. 2 points. Bennett Sturts, he's going to take this final shot, and he bricks the 3. Great rebound by Abreu.
Yep.
Kicks it out to Muscari, and you're thinking, what better guy to have this shot? Tell me who fouls him, because I don't remember who fouls him.
I don't remember who fouls him either. Is it Campbell?
It was such a bang. It might have been Campbell, because Campbell had really locked down Muscari a lot of the game. I was too, and it was such a bang play. So quick shot by Bennett with a few seconds left. Kick out from Abreu to Muscari, and you think that this ball is going to drop, but by the grace of the betting gods and the people in Drake's favor, the magical season continues because Mitch hits 2 free throws. But his legs were shaking on that first one because Panther Nation, all the student section is going nuts behind him. The whole arena is just vibrating. So when that first shot bricks, I'm not surprised.
No. And what a rebound to miss your first shot and then make your next 2 shots with the student section right behind that basket waving.
Yep.
And I would airball. There's no doubt. There's no way I would be able to make those free throws in. There's no one else you want going to the line that Mitch was scary. So the fact that he misses, I thought he was going to make all 3 of those free throws. If he misses his first one, we're in some serious trouble. Knocks him down, they extend the game. But quick going back to Daniel Abreu. And we talked about this with Coach McCollum. This guy is the glue. That is a glue play to keep the game alive. And unbelievable rebound, and
I
Drake smashed the boards all day long, Bryce. They out rebounded UNI
crushed him.
46-29, and that's
Hmm.
we we talk when I was talking with Admire the night before how Drake can win this game is not let UNI shoot the 3-point shoot the 3-point ball. UNI goes 3
Yep.
17 from the three. He says
Hmm.
if UNI beats us by all 2-pointers, it is what it is.
Hmm.
Don't let them beat you by 3-pointers. And that's where you credit Drake basketball is adjusting to
Hmm.
the atmosphere. You don't go into the McLeod Center trying to play your game. You're trying to disrupt the home team's momentum,
Yep.
how they play their game, make them feel uncomfortable at home, right? Because that's where the home court advantage is how these teams feel comfortable there. They play there all the time,
Yep.
make them feel uncomfortable. And that's exactly what Drake did. They made the game ugly enough to extend the game as long as possible. And the play of the game comes down to the double foul,
Hustle play.
the
Hmm.
hustle play, and
Hustle
then
play that leads to that. Dude, I want to know, and I feel terrible because really, you and I played a great game. They get out rebounded. They're not shooting the three ball well, but they've got the lead with 5 or 6 seconds left, and you think it's basically over. So I don't remember who that was. It's one of those things that as a coach's nightmare. You don't foul on the 3-point line, but it happens. And credit to the Bulldogs. I mean, you mentioned it already. We talked to Coach. I was pointing out to Scotty B sitting next to me. Watch 54. He's not going to put up 25 points today, but he's going to make glue plays. He's going to get the open man, a wide open shot. He's going to have a hustle rebound. He's going to play great defense. And really, that was the story. Like Titan Anderson scored, I think, of his first 11, I think 7 on Isaiah Howard. So once Abreu got into foul trouble, Isaiah had to go up against one of the best big man in all the MVC.
yeah,
And he did a good job. I mean, a tough guy to guard, but just a totally different game when Abreu was on 32.
yeah, definitely. And thinking about the majority of the game, he was guarding with foul trouble, so you gotta be careful. And Titan Anderson is such a mismatch. I don't care who's guarded him; he ends the game with 21 points.
Yep.
I always think about this guy when I've been watching him throughout the season. I'm like, how good of a tight end would he have been in college
Yeah.
football?
Yeah.
This guy, I've
I
seen
know.
some miraculous grabs in other games. At the
Great
McLeod Center.
hands and
Great
athletic
hands,
and
very athletic. He likes his left hand. There's no doubt about
yeah,
that.
he
But
does.
the
He does.
game, you could feel the weight of the world lift off the Drake's shoulders when Titan gets called for his 5th foul and is exited from the game on a questionable double tech call, or not double tech, but a double foul call with him and Isaiah Howard. And you see what Jacobson said?
I didn't, and I actually didn't know it was a double foul. I wondered why you and I got the ball back there, and I should have assumed it was a double foul. What did Coach Jake have to say?
Coach says it is the worst call he has seen in the 19 years of his coaching, or of his head coaching career.
That's bad.
The reason for this is he says, yeah, there might have been 8 or 9 calls I thought were bad. There might have been 8 or 9 calls that Coach McCollum thought were bad, but none of those calls decided the game. That one decided the game and was called at an unfortunate time, fouling out the best player. I don't know, man. I mean, likely Titan Anderson got away with a lot of calls throughout the game, so he arguably could have been fouled out at the same time, but that doesn't mean you do a makeup call, right? I hate makeup calls more than anything, and I think that was a makeup call.
Yeah.
Just to settle some things down. So obviously changed the game, and Drake just took over throughout the second half of the overtime. Bennett Sturts ending with 26 points, 10 rebounds. There never has been, in my opinion, the Larry Bird Missouri Valley Player of the Year. It has always been Bennett Sturts.
It's locked
and
up.
that has locked it down with that cold-blooded 3-pointer with 14 seconds to go in the game. And
I mentioned on the pod last time that I think there's a few ways to beat the Bulldogs. And one of those has to be you keep Bennett Sturts at bay. He was not kept at bay, but he really was the only offense for the Bulldogs a lot of the day, and they needed every single one of those 26 points. Obviously, that last dagger 3 really puts UNI in a tough position. They're not coming back with only a few. I think they had 32 seconds left, down 5 or down 3. Smart possession. Bennett ices it. That the rest is history, but. That guy is ice cold. He came in there in a rowdy environment, very hostile, and just unfazed. I mean, there's a UNI tradition of the interlude. I forget when exactly it happens, but it's always at kind of the end of the game, crucial time. Bennett had been fouled. He's heading to the line, TV timeout, and UNI's going nuts. The student section looked great all day, and they had never been more fired up than post interlude. And I look over at you and I'm like, do you think this guy's even a little bit phased by having to shoot free throws after how pumped the crowd got? And you're like, not even a little bit. He's just ready to play more ball.
He was just staring at him with no emotion on his face. Like, this guy's different. The calm
Yeah.
collectiveness is which we've talked about all year, and the dagger threes, the one against Kansas State, and the dagger plays he's made throughout this season. Bennett Sturts is one of the best players I've ever seen go through the Missouri Valley. The way he contributes, he leads the conference in steals, assists, and points. And this has the ball in his hand 24/7, playing 40 minutes a game. This guy is a generational Missouri Valley player that we get to watch and embrace. And Drake, with that win, Drake now clinches the Missouri, at least a share of the Missouri Valley regular season championship. One more win will do it. Moves Drake to 25-3, and man, what a year! But
Oh, it's been so fun to watch, and I'm glad I've been able to watch a couple in person because it's always different than when you're watching on TV. You really get a feel for things. I have such high optimism. I know you've been hyping them up. You're full bandwagon all year, and you've been maybe number one, number two supporter from a fan perspective.
I got no voice.
I don't
You
know
heard me start all those Drake
Yeah.
chants yesterday. The "Let's Go Drake," the defense chants. That was me.
We didn't even bring up the fact that courtside we had the Dahlstroms and we had the Dearys, and I believe on the Dearys side we had a couple, I assume grandchildren, looking up at us because all day Nate had been starting defense chants for the maybe 500 to 700 Drake fans of the 6,600, and in a crucial moment, UNI goes up, and those courtside grandkids look up at Nate, and I know they're staring directly at you, and they're waving goodbye. Nate, you didn't back down even one little bit. You got another, through sickness and through losing your voice, you got another defense chant started. And obviously we saw how the end of the game looked. And you mentioned just before we hopped on the show, you watched a little bit of Bennett Sturts' shot a couple times over. And a few of those times you looked at that bench and how deflated they were. Yeah. And I hate to cheer for that kind of, animosity, but that's the kind of stuff that makes sports fun.
That's what hypes up the game, right? And I definitely re-delivered that wave back to them towards the end of the game. Make sure they look at that. So shout out to Drake and shout out to UNI for what an awesome atmosphere and all the fans that came out to support the game in Cedar Falls. Let's go back to some boring basketball. How about that? How does that sound?
All right.
Iowa falls to Oregon in a late game where they had a chance to win the game. And then they get one back against the worst team in the Big Ten, against Washington, barely beating them. Had to come back from like 10 down just to get that game down. It moves Iowa now, Bryce, to 15-12, 13th in the Big Ten, which is right now good enough to make the Big Ten tourney, because you got to be top 15 to make the Big Ten tourney. However, when you look ahead of Iowa's schedule, you might be questioning yourself. At Illinois Tuesday, at Northwestern, home against Michigan State, who's one of the hottest teams in the country right now, beating anyone and everyone, and then at Nebraska.
I mean, you say like you might be nervous. I am nervous. I've been nervous all year. There's no part of me that has optimism for this team. I will say they played Oregon well. Yeah. I don't remember who their top scorer is. He had come into the game with like 24 plus points 3 games in a row, and then he was held to like 3, I think. So it was like almost exactly how the script needed to go for Iowa to stay in the game. You get a good look for Dix at the end, and he gets blocked by their lengthy center. I'm nervous. I mean, there's no guarantees in the Big Ten ever, and especially with this team who's had a lot of ups and downs. I would love, as much as like we've kind of been haters and talked negatively, I am still rooting for the Hawkeyes to make the tournament because it's probably the last time they're on the big stage this year.
Yeah, I love Peyton Sanford. I love the Sanford brothers. I love the players on our team. I've said that all year. Mm-hmm. I like these guys. I like the team chemistry they got. It's just, I think it comes down to coaching, how you're utilizing your game strategy, but there's no quitting these dudes. They might be getting outscored some of these away games by 20, 30 points, but they fight like hell, and that's all I've ever wanted from them. Peyton Sanford will give every ounce of his blood to make sure he wins that game. And so shout out for them for getting the dub down. Hopefully it carries a little bit momentum, because the Hawks are one of the hottest teams in the country when it comes to offensive end. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So you like to see them make a little damage in the Big Ten tournament. Just keep an eye on it. But like we said, Illinois is coming off a massive 40, 50-point loss to Duke. So you're getting Illinois arguably at the worst time in the season. So
Oh, my whole TikTok feed was just Cooper Flag dunking on Illinois. So,
Yeah.
they're going to want a bounce back game. And obviously, you mentioned Michigan State. Like, those guys are hot. The in-state rivalry game went their way. Maybe for the second time. I think Michigan might have gotten them at home. I don't remember exactly, but they're hot. Long story short.
Iowa State falls to Houston 68-59, and that's Bryce without their two leading scorers, Keyshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones. And this is what we've talked about regarding Iowa, right? I don't want to
Mhm.
hear the flippant excuse that you're down or you're without some players. You have to adjust. And what
Mhm.
does Iowa State do? They absolutely adjusted and they played with more. You got to have other players step up, play with more. Okay?
Mhm.
They made no damn excuse. They had a damn good chance of winning that game if it didn't come down
Yep.
to LJ Cryer of Houston going off for 28 points. Man, I was
Yep.
watching that game. That dude was, whatever he shot, it was going in.
Just what? Yep.
Whether it was Nate Heisey
Unconscious.
guarding him, Milan Manchanovic, I always can get his name wrong. Mommy. Iowa State fans call him Mommy. I'm just going to call him
Yeah.
Mommy. Taylor Lipsey, one of the best defenders in the country, guarding him. Doesn't matter who's guarding him. Step back three, dagger in their face. And that's what it took
Yeah.
for Houston to beat a deflated Iowa State team on at their home court. That's when you know you got the right damn coaching staff.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-game
You should feel
adjustments.
great if you're a
In-game
Cyclone fan.
adjustments. So Iowa State's gonna be fine, right? I just know Curtis Jones is battling some illness, I think, and
Yes, they had illness go through the locker room, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
relate
that
with
you nailed it on the head. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I think you brought up this issue where the excuse train, everyone jumping on the I was injured. These guys are out. That's fine. Good teams find a way to make close games and adjust. And there couldn't have been a more hostile environment for the great example set by like, hey, these guys are out. The Vegas spread moved from like 11.5 to like 14 at one point. And it's a 9-point game. You said they had a chance to win. That's exactly it. And I said it. I think you should be really excited if you're a Cyclone fan. This is exactly what you want to see. Like the grit on the road against a top-ranked Houston team. You're looking great. This is awesome. You're going to get Keyshawn back. You're going to get Curtis back, and now you've got a couple guys with more confidence.
Exactly right. The key part you just said right there is more guys with more confidence, and no one's been harder on Nate Heisey than Iowa State fan base this year, right?
Yeah.
And this was a prime opportunity for him to get his shit together, regain that confidence, develop more of a role this game because you're lacked of some personnel, and that's exactly what he did, man. Came in, I think it was 4 or 5 from the field, big rebounds, played defense on LJ Cryer too. I mean, no matter who you put on LJ Cryer, he was going to do his thing that night.
Yep.
But that's tiring, and just did it with confidence, man. So hopefully in games like this is where when your star players are out, you're not so dependent on them anymore. You can develop more confidence, and it just leads to a better outcome usually as we move later deeper in the season when you need more guys to step up. Remaining schedule for the Clones, who are now 21-6 at Oklahoma State Tuesday. That should be a W. It might be a little tough. Anyway, game's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a huge one for to be able to avenge your loss against Arizona. I think Saturday at Hilton Coliseum, and then you get BYU, who's one of the hottest teams in the country right now. I mean, they beat Kansas by 30 or 40. It was the worst loss in Kansas program history. BYU's beating everyone. You get BYU to come to Hilton Coliseum. Then you end the season at Kansas State, we know how that game went at Hilton Coliseum last time. So a little bit of a tester here for the Clones. Just hold your fucking ground. Win your home games. Win at Oklahoma State. If you drop one at Kansas State, so be it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Kansas State heating up, and I like to think that Arizona goes the Cyclones' way. I think kind of took a miracle from Caleb White, right? The guy that transferred from UNC. Caleb Love. To get it to overtime. Like that should have been a road victory. I like to think that they can win 3 of those games at least.
Bryce, we're going to jump into our top 5 segment. And I'm unbelievable. I say this every week, but these are great segments. We get a lot of good feedback about how people love these segments. And we're going to be ranking our top 5 college bars in the state of Iowa. And when I was thinking about this list, we probably will do another list of the top 5 sketchiest college bars in the state of Iowa. We'll have to do another segment on that. But so maybe one of those bars might have made this list, but we could do a whole another segment with that list, which I think we should absolutely do. And
Cool.
what a better time to get back in this list because we had the great experience at Social House,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where my
Mm-hmm.
number 5 is going to kick off. Social House in Cedar Falls was always a staple, going to college at UNI. Is where like the mature college audience kind of went to. You had the upper deck, the rooftop bar, the down low, middle level bar. Then you go down a couple steps to where we were yesterday for the low end bar, the pool table. All around great experience. You get kind of the freshmen, sophomores out of there, exception
Yep.
for a few fake IDs, but just a go-to bar. The reason it's number 5 on my list is I got a little sick of it. It became like the only bar that people only ever want to fucking go to.
Yeah.
And I got sick of it. So thank God Main Street has kind of taken over the Social House from my life there at the end of UNI.
Yes, you will see Social House on my list as well. And you're totally right. If you went to UNI, if you've ever partied at UNI, you know that you pretty much went from Social House to Little Bigs, RIP. I don't think that's there anymore. Sharkies when you were in our generation of hill enjoyers. So yes, it did get old. On my list, another College Hill favorite, Suds. One of my favorite places to play darts in all the state of Iowa. Suds rooftop. For a while, it was the only rooftop. You mentioned that Social House, towards the end of our college tenure, added that rooftop and kind of changed the game. That became one of the best hot spots to go and get a nice cocktail when the weather was fortuitous. But the Suds rooftop was one of the first and easily one of my favorites of all time.
I really didn't like Suds until after I almost graduated from UNI. Right? And then it's more low key atmosphere, very chill vibe. People hitting heaters on the outdoor patio there.
Yes, yeah, one of the top smoking spots in all of Cedar Falls for sure. And like maybe like the kicker is that do you know this saying? She was warm and I was lonely.
No.
Right above the urinal for years, there's been just a piece of UNI wisdom. The quote above the urinal: "She was warm and I was lonely." And I love that. There's just a lot of grit to Suds, and that's why it makes my number 5.
Yeah, there's a great collection of women's bras up there.
Yes, there sure is.
Fallback. I'm going to give Suds an honorable mention. Sorry, you didn't make my list, but give me your number 4.
I'm going to kind of merge them. Sips and Patties in Ames. Big fan of the dual. You walk downstairs for Sips and you walk upstairs for Patties. Patties, more of the Irish theme. Down below, you got kind of more of the club theme. I was a huge fan, postgraduate, of going to Sips and Patties. Some good times there, man. Like a little bit of like the pre-tailgate. I think we went there in 2019 and did like a Patties Sips party bus. Went all the way down to Jack Trice. But just kind of a fun college environment. I like that you can do 2 things at one time. Shake up the vibe.
Yeah, I like how you mix those 2 together because they're a package deal. You go to one, you're probably going to go to the other. My number 4 is one of the bars that would end up on the sketchy skanky list for top 5 of other adventures for college bars. The Union, RIP to the Union out in Iowa City. Man, I had some of my best times of my college lifetime going there, right?
Yep.
You get in right away. Always the longest line ever to get into it. You get in right away. It's a typical college bar scene, a little bit of loud music going on. But when you got the drinks flowing, you're ready to get the boots shaking and the hips throttling, you go downstairs to the great dance floor.
And and truly, for a long time, I'd say from like 2017 or 2016 until like 2022, I said Voodoo, Cedar Falls, and Union are the best like actual club atmospheres for a college kid or like 18 to 25-year-old. It's sad to see it go because we had so many good times there. You were consistently going to Iowa Hawkeye games and going in the Kinnick Stadium. Myself and some friends would usually end up going to Union and watching the game. For the first like year or 2 of going there, I didn't even know they had that back area because we were just like locked in the game. You're usually like kind of post tailgate and like exhausted anyway. Well, as an upperclassman, figure out they have this like incredible dance floor. I'm glad you mentioned Union. It was one of my favorite spots until it closed.
Yeah, it's a sober you would never find that dance floor. You have to be drunk to find it. It's like you don't even know it exists until lock a certain level
until you're ready. Right.
My number 3 is RIP to this one too. The Hydrant. I
Oh, wow.
loved the hydrant back on the hill in Cedar Falls. Just the karaoke, the Jello shots. It was never too crowded, but I loved the people that went there. Right, you go there for the karaoke night and the Jello shots, and just have a
Mhm.
good time. People trying to sing, this being super crappy about it. And I mean, not with your terrible voices, but no one cared. You just
No, no one
vibed,
cared at that
man.
time.
But you felt like a superstar on that mic, and man,
Yeah.
I always did. And then when you're done, just go get the legendary strength shot of the Jello shot.
Yes. Uh-huh. That's probably my highlight of going there is that you'd have a true syringe jello shot, which was kind of tough sometimes. Like you kind of had to
Uh,
use the bar to get that jello through the syringe. Um, in my experience, people would kind of hit the top of the hill and work their way down to hydrant, and you migrate back to your home. And hydrant was kind of that last stop where you'd maybe hit the mic and then grab a syringe shot and go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was I
I
know a lot of people's favorite.
Can I tell a quick story on it real quick?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, the reason I love Hydra because one of my first ever experiences there, I was freshman year. Yeah, I think it was 21 plus. You had to get into there. I had a fake ID, and the guy rejected it, didn't take it, respectfully rejected it. I said, "Oh, that's fine." I was walking out, and all of a sudden I hear from the back, $100. He is 21 tonight, and a guy from my hometown that graduated with my brother was there, and gives the bartender, the bouncer, $100. And he says, "He's 21," and then I got in. So,
Okay.
just shout to Mark
Little
Pepe.
grease in the
Uh-huh.
wheels there. I like that. Yeah.
So ever since then, I've had a euphoria for it.
Number 3, Social House. Already mentioned. As a UNI grad, a little biased because, as you said, that was the place to go. Part of my favorite thing about the UNI experience is that you're going to pretty much know where everybody is on any given Friday and Saturday evening. As you get older, you kind of had a playbook. Wednesday, karaoke OP. Thursday night, maybe a little Suds rooftop. Friday, Saturday, a lot of people, Little Bigs, a lot of people, Social House.
Yep.
So that combination of the hill from 2014 until 2020 has a special place in my heart. Social House was kind of that place where you would use as much game as you had as a single male to try and pick somebody up. I had a great conversation with Scott yesterday when we did our beverage there before walking into McLeod. That we had the exact same feeling. You smell the pheromones. You order too many drinks because you're kind of just standing there awkwardly. The music's a little too loud and you can't really talk to people. So you're just going to keep buying drinks. They've got a great science to that bar and has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, it is the number one reason I don't drink tequila anymore. Back when they had $1
Okay.
tequila nights.
I forgot
And
about that.
Brandon Don, my cousin, bought me my freshman year of Ben Mossman, each like 9 or 10 shots of tequila. It was fun that day. I did not go to class the next day. One of the worst feelings I've ever had. And ever since then, they just don't go down right.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a lot of people's experience with tequila, and I'm not there yet. I've been pretty chill with it. I
Good.
hope I never get there. It's still one of my favorites. At number 2, we're going back to Ames. Size, and I could throw AJ's in there because I kind of like the same way I did Sips and Patties. I'd kind of like start Size and then head to AJ's. I'm going to throw Size on there because I appreciate the intimate venue. I like the little greenery they have on the outside there. Watched quite a few Cyclone football games out there. The beers are cold, the women are friendly, and it makes my number 2 because I got good memories there.
AJ's is my number 2 out in Ames. Just love the patio. I've always had an amazing time at the patio. See a lot of friendly, familiar faces there. Anytime you give me a great patio environment for any bar out there, you automatically at the top tier of my list.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Ames bar scenes. And if AJ's clears as number 1 in Ames, it's likely to be very high on my list, in which it is. And they had the mug night there, right? Was AJ's the mug night? I always get this wrong. I can never
I
remember.
do too.
And
And I didn't go there as much until I was like first year out of school. And so I feel like that's more of a local thing. We had Mason Magruder on here about like 2 months ago, and he kind of gave us the insight on that. But you might be right. That also could have been Mickey's. It could have been Size. I don't remember.
but
So
that's how you know we had a good time. We don't remember everything, so we don't remember the
Right.
details. Bryce, we're gonna cap off this list of my number 1 favorite bar, and we're gonna head down to Iowa City, Iowa. Brothers, the ultimate
that's my number 1 too.
bar experience. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you get it all. You get a great indoor feel, great energy there. If I want to go outside, I'll go around the corner. I'll step outside, no problem. More chill vibes
Yep.
out there. Now it's time. Now it's time to spike things up a little bit. Let's make our way through the dart machine, and once you get past the dart machine, you're on the dance floor. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna dance and groovy, baby. Once I'm done with that, I go downstairs and I head towards the more chill pool table area vibe. And then once I'm done with that, I cap my night off outside again. So I have all sorts of levels of how drunk and how vibey I'm feeling that day.
Brothers makes my number one for the exact same reason. After we got a little bit older, we left the union and started doing post tailgate watch parties at Brothers. One of my favorite spots to watch a game and just soak in the atmosphere. It also has the pep band that shows up on Friday night before those games. Great environment to be a part of. But as you mentioned, it really makes number one because it's the pinnacle of, I think, college bar experience where you've got all those different areas. You've got the patio, you've got the dartboards, you've got the dance floor, you've got basically what feels like a normal sports bar for most of the bar. And if you're not feeling as crazy as Spoko or Scummit, you go to Brothers and you can have yourself a great time. So it makes number one.
I'm glad we figured that out together for the number one. There's no doubt about it. This highlight, one of the best traditions is the pep band, the beer band. And there's just no better having them come in. You're just, I got to play the drums one time. The guy gave me it. I've played a couple instruments. I don't know how it sounded, but I did it, and just be able to partake in that. My mom, that's her favorite bar too, right? So I can love it as an 18-year-old. I can love it as a 21-year-old, a 30-year-old, and my mom can love it as a 60-some-year-old. So shout out to Brothers and shout out to the beer band. Great list right there. Like I said, we're going to do it again with the top 5 sketchiest college bars, and that'll be even better time, almost highlighting that. But Bryce, before I let you go, what is your plans for today or the week? Anything big coming up?
Dude, on Mondays, I'm always like, my brain's just a blur. I'm like, get through this podcast and figure out your life. I think this Friday we are going to be heading up to Cedar Falls. So I just made the trip on Sunday. We'll be heading right back up this weekend. We entered ourselves into the Cedar Valley Advertising Awards, I want to say it's called.
Yep.
So we're going to try and recruit people to go to that and vote on the Iowa Chill ad for the Iowa Donor Network. And then we're going to be parlaying that right into Scotty B's birthday, which I believe he wants to go to the rodeo at the Cattle Congress over in Waterloo.
Yeah.
So that's the weekend. I think that's a pretty standard week. Grind it out, work hard, and have some fun again this weekend.
Yeah, shout out to Scotty.
What about you?
Shout out to Scotty Burrack. Him and I will be hitting 2,000 snap streak tomorrow, and no better way to celebrate his birthday coming up this weekend. So shout out to Scotty B. Today, the brother Colbs will be heading over here after he gets out for work. We're going to be taking out some Christmas lights finally up off the roof. So perfect day to get that done. And we're going to do 2-for-1, baby. We're going to take down Simulator League tonight instead of doing it on Tuesday. Just enjoy the weather this week, man. Happy vibes, happy people. Continue to watch sports and looking forward to yeah, what's up?
Is there any chance you make it out to golf outside?
This week? No, probably not. Nope.
I want to. I don't know if it's going to happen.
No. You get the nice weather, but usually that first heat wave, you get this mushy season, And I hate mushy season more than anything. You take a step and it splatters everywhere. Somehow I got dirt up on my face, mud on my pants. Hate that feeling. Yeah. So no, I won't be doing that, but just trying to get in, trying not to be sick for once.
Dude, you got to be healthy. I'm worried about what's happening in Cedar Falls. There's a lot of illness going around, and somehow it's managed to find your household a lot of times. Get well, man.
Yeah. Oh, God damn it. But yeah, hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in today and sticking with me in my terrible voice. But it was a great week. Looking forward to even a better week here in the state of Iowa.
Have a good one, people. See you later.
Guess what's at the Mississippi? Kicking back, yeah, evidently. Everybody grab your people, come on.